What's happening, guys? DigiDestin here, and I have one heck of a pickup video for you this week. So this entire box and this bag is full of essentially one pickup that happened at an estate sale. It's pretty big. We got a pretty great deal on it all, and I cannot wait to dig in and show you what I got. First thing I want to show you from this crazy estate sale haul is this Tiger Electronics LCD handheld. This one's called Bowl-O-Rama. Got this for 25 cents. It's pretty cool because it's not your typical handheld. From Tiger Electronics, it's got a bowling ball here, and then we have a little joystick, which is a bowling pin. And the cool thing is the bowling pin actually comes off as a joystick. I actually have no idea why they did that, because you can't really control it very well without the bowling pin. So I don't know, I guess they wanted to have a way for it to be stored without breaking off the bowling pin. That's my assumption. Pretty cool, 25 cents. I do collect Tiger Electronics, so this is a very cool one to have and to add to my collection. And I do want to mention that the way I have these games and all this stuff stored right now is mostly because I wanted to organize it a bit. We did have like 3 or 4 different boxes that we gathered from this estate sale, and you could probably see those in some of my Instagram posts about it. So in this bag I actually have the systems quarantined right now. It's been a bit, so they should be safe. I do this every now and then just because I don't want any of the aromas or smells from the past owners to get to my room or my collection, as well as any, I don't know, critters. Maybe there's bugs. So if you isolate your systems, you can potentially prevent like a cockroach infestation. Not to say that happens often, but you know, I just want to take the extra precaution. So this bag's just full of random hardware. First thing is this almost nearly brand new wired Xbox 360 controller, and this one's great because I actually use this for PC gaming. I have one myself. The joysticks are in very good condition. It even still has that twisty tie on the cord itself. The black one is a little bit harder to find compared to the white one, so this one's a pretty cool pickup here. And all these consoles and controllers actually came in one box, and he gave me a price for the entire box. It was extremely fair, and that's exciting there. We have a couple controllers for the NES. Where's the other one? Well, here's one of them here. This is a Quick Shot flight controller, I believe, flight grip controller. This one's used for like games for flight simulators, as well as motorcycle simulators, racing games, that sort of thing. There's nothing really special about it other than the placement of the A and B buttons, which you have one here, and then you got your D-pad. There's no motion controls. There's also an auto fire feature, basically a turbo button. But from what I've heard, these things do not work very well. Either way, it came with 2 in the bag. The other one's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. The second one here. Next thing in the bag, we have some regular NES controllers. All this stuff has not been cleaned yet. They're a little dirty. You know, I need to clean them. So after I handle these right now, I'm going to be washing my hands. Yep. Oh wait, we got 4 NES controllers. 4 NES controllers. We have this Nintendo Game Boy battery pack adapter or outlet. So you can put batteries inside here. You plug it into your original DMG Game Boy, and it should keep it charged or keep it going without having, you know, if you have your 2 batteries that are worn out. But on top of that, you have this part here, which plugs into the bottom, that allows you to charge this battery pack from the wall, or power it from the wall. So that's pretty cool. We have an N64 with the power cord. It's in decent shape. It's kind of scratched up. It's got the normal jumper pack, no expansion pack, which is fine. You know, it's in decent shape. And I'm not too worried about the AV cords, just because I do pick up a lot of AV cords for Nintendo products like the Super Nintendo, N64, and GameCube. They're all the same. I do find those quite often, so I always pick up them when I can, if they're affordable, just in case instances like this happen. So if I come across N64 with power cord, no AV cord, it's not even an issue. We have the Slim PS1. This one's in awesome shape. No disc or anything, no cords. I do have an extra power cord. That's the one that's actually different compared to the other PS1 systems. The AV multi-out is mostly more or less the same between PS2 and PS1. So those are pretty easy to find. That PS1 came with a couple controllers. You got the matching white controller here. And then you have the same model controller for the PS1, the second model PS1, but this one's a translucent blue, and you can tell that it's modeled for that second gen PS1 because of that plug-in right there. That rounded white colored plug-in. The original ones had that gray and more rectangular shape to it. All right, we have an atomic purple Game Boy Color as well. No battery pack, no serial number, no sticker. This one's in pretty rough shape. This would definitely be used as a parts one, or if somebody needs the Game Boy itself and doesn't mind not having a battery pack, I can probably use this as a trade fodder. We have a Super Nintendo. No cords, no controllers. Kind of yellow, but it's free of any cracks in it, which is actually pretty awesome. Looks like an earlier model just because the eject button here is printed, or eject text is printed instead of embossed in there. Yeah, no cords, controllers, but I do have extra cords from my other thrifting endeavors. We have the N64 controller, official Nintendo product here, to match the N64. And then last but not least, in terms of the consoles and hardware, we have the original gray PS1 with a memory card. And the cool thing about this one is this is the audiophile edition, so it's an early model. If you look on the back, it has 3 separate ports for the RCA ports for video, and then the 2 audio ones, instead of having this AV multi-out, which is essentially compressed all into one signal and sent over to the 3 parts on your TV. So this one is a little bit more harder to find. In terms of price, not too big of a difference, but this is an earlier model. This is the model that I do prefer, and mine just ended up quitting on me. The laser broke, so this is a perfect replacement for my collection. Alright, next up in this box is a crazy amount of printed material. So I'm going to go through them pretty quick just because it's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of each individual thing in here. First thing I want to show you are some Valiant Nintendo comics. So Valiant was the first company, and this is kind of like the first run of comics. They printed some Nintendo stuff. So you got the first issue of Super Mario Bros. Look at that, official Nintendo licensed product. Featuring exclusive scenes from the hottest game ever, Super Mario Bros. 3. This is crazy. This is very cool. I don't have this one yet. I don't have issue 1, so it's a nice addition to the collection. There's a couple ones here. Adventures of the Super Mario Bros. And this is the Nintendo Comics System, also made by Valiant, or published by Valiant. And then we have Super Mario Bros. Meet the Koopa Kids. Again, a Valiant comic book right there. So it's very, very early. I think some of this stuff was featured in some of the Nintendo Powers as well before they ventured off and created their own separate comic system. We have some guides, more or less. So We got Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. I did not have this guide yet. Again, all of these editorials, all this printed material was in a separate box from the consoles, and once I saw the box, we picked them up, set them aside, and the people running the estate sale ended up selling it by the box instead of each individual. But we have Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This one's in awesome shape. It's not been creased or bent or really anywhere other than like the corners, maybe like the frayed corner. I don't know if you can see that, is basically the worst part of the guide itself. All the pages are intact, nothing's stained, nothing's yellowed. I don't have this guide yet, so I'm very excited to find this. Very cool guide. I didn't expect this one. Earthbound also came in the pile, and all the guides, and there's magazines in here, but all the guides and the magazines were all mixed together, so I actually did not expect to see any guides once I picked them up. I only wanted the magazines, and once we actually got time to organize through them, or to organize them, we discovered the guides. And the cool thing about this Earthbound one is in the back there's some scratch and sniff cards, and these ones are very difficult to find intact. So when these Earthbound guides come with them, it does increase the value just a tad bit. And this one's also in great shape. You know, just the corners themselves are very frayed, but the pages themselves are straight. They're not bent and they're not stained. This is a very great guide. This one might be in better condition than my own. Alright, we got Super Game Boy, official Nintendo Super Game Boy guide. You have the strategy guide, Nintendo Power strategy guide, and this was actually considered an issue of Nintendo Power, but this one was released for Final Fantasy. I have this one, but mine's very torn up. The cover's all wrinkled. With these pages, you can see how crisp it is. Like when you bend it, it also wants to bend back in shape. But the one I have, if you bend it, it kind of wants to take the form of it. Maybe you can hear that. That's crisp. That's nearly as new as you can get from a 30-year-old guide. Next one we have another Nintendo Power Strategy Guide. This is the 4-player extra. This one is in a little bit worse shape. The spine itself has been ripped off, unfortunately. And then I believe the back cover has been ripped off as well. But I did not have this one either. So this continues to add to my Nintendo Power collection. I'm getting closer to a perfect or a complete set with this strategy guide here. We have Game Fan Soul Blade. Never played this game, but this is a guide to have. Early PlayStation guides are pretty hard to come by. You do come across the Nintendo guides a lot more often, but these early PlayStation guides, not too much. And then we have a buttload of Nintendo Powers. So we got one stack here. Reach into the box. Got a whole nother stack. Put those down. Another stack here. I would say it's anywhere close to, I don't know, 50 or 60 issues of early Nintendo Powers, ranging from NES games all the way to GameCube. And then the last stack of Nintendo Powers here. I think that's it. Yeah, lots of great ones. Actually, not even a couple. There's a couple of things in here that aren't even strategy guides. We have Winnie the Pooh's Halloween and Scry. So this was just included in that box of magazines. They just threw things together and sold it by the box. As you can see, we have one for like Donkey Kong here. We have Super C. This one's Donkey Kong Country 2. We have the one for the N64. And it just ranges from all different generations of Nintendo products. And with this pile of Nintendo Powers, we did get a lot of single issues that were missing. Now we're down to about 32 issues left before we have a complete set. and that's very exciting. Aside from the Nintendo powers, there's also some other editorials in here, other magazines that were pretty cool. That, at least I thought were pretty cool. We have the Consumer's Guide, the Winner's Guide to Nintendo. Never heard of these before, but they're pretty cool. There's 3 of them here. And the funny thing is, on the cover of each of these magazines has nothing to do with Nintendo. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, there's no Nintendo characters on it. But once you open up the game, or open up the magazine, it has the games in there with screenshots. Top Gun 2, Rescue, the Embassy Mission, Wrath of the Black Manta, Bases Loaded 2. Pretty cool. Again, I love going through these old magazines. You got Game Players, Nintendo Guide, a few of these issues, a couple more, another one here. Game Fan, Next Generation Video Game Magazine, Volume 3, Issue 7. This is 32-bit previews, so you got Super NES, Genesis, Sega CD, 32X. All on the top there, Saturn, Neo Geo, Jaguar, 3DO. Covers all that cool stuff. Some EGM, GamePro, Ultimate Gamer, the Ultra 64, and Ultra 64's. This is before they called it the Nintendo 64, I believe. So this is kind of a preview magazine of the N64 before it was the N64. So that's pretty cool. I mean, those were all the magazines. Pretty crazy, especially the fact that a lot of them are in pretty decent shape, and the fact that we were able to add a whole bunch of issues to our collection. Next up, in the crazy estate sale pickups, we have a bunch of guides, so a bunch of empty guides. Unfortunately, for all of these guides, there are no games, which was the weird thing. There's a bunch of like Nintendo stuff that was at this estate sale, but there are actually no Nintendo games. So we just got some Game Boy manuals, Game Boy Advance manuals, Game Boy Color manuals. I'll just flip through them real quick. Some Pokemon, some Zelda, some generic Game Boy inserts. And we got some Super Nintendo stuff. You got things like Final Fantasy 3, which is nice, Chrono Trigger, which is an awesome surprise, Mario RPG, awesome game, Super Game Boy, Secret of Mana, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Seeing all these manuals makes me really wonder what happened to the cartridges, because there were absolutely no cartridges there. And the story behind this estate sale was we woke up kind of late getting to it, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go to it, but my fiance convinced us to go, and by the time we got there, we're actually about 10-15 minutes late from the starting time. And they did mention in their listing that there were going to be video games and video game related things, vintage Nintendo toys, and I'm really surprised that when we got there, all of this stuff was still here, so no one was really picking through it. And anybody who would be looking for Nintendo stuff, I mean, this was laid out in the open, would obviously catch all this and pick all this up too. We have one Genesis manual, Shining in the Darkness. Yeah, just a big old stack of manuals. Some of them I don't have, some of them are condition upgrades for me. That's pretty cool. I'm going to show you this. It's a pretty cool little pin here. Big Griffey fan. So it's a Griffey 96 Nike pin. The estate sale runner just threw that in for free. Oh, we got some more manuals here. Some NES manuals, as well as some other inserts for Game Boy, some Pokemon again. We got Tetris, Karnov, Super Mario Bros, MC Kids, Maniac Mansion, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about. Donkey Kong, Adventure Island 3, which is cool. Adventure Island 2. I did have the manual for Adventure Island 1, so having both of these will complete those out for me. Super Mario Bros. 3 Classic. Just an awesome selection of manuals. Pretty cool. And then we're gonna get into the games next. Really excited about these ones. Came with a couple loose discs. This one was actually inside the PlayStation itself. Crash Bandicoot 2. And then this was inside one of the cases, which was a nice surprise. Siphon Filter, number 1. Some loose discs. And then this big old bag of games. And all of these are primarily PS1 games. The only Nintendo game that I ended up finding was this very cool one in Hollywood Video. This is a Hollywood Video game. And this is a rental. So $3 for 2 days. And this is Sim Earth. And the cool thing about this is not only does it come with the case, but it comes with the manual as well. But the manual is taped inside here, or it's glued inside here. So you can't take it out, but you can reference it. The cartridge, awesome shape, to be honest. Look at the gloss on that. You can almost see your reflection. The only bad thing about this cart is you can see some of the glue residue from when they had those rental stickers on it. But I'm pretty sure that this game was rarely ever rented. I just think it's very cool that it came inside this rental case. I'll be keeping that for sure. And the next set of games are a bunch of PS1 games. Some pretty good PS1 games in my opinion. Ones you don't come across very often, especially ones in a lot like this all together. And then we got, again, a bunch of PlayStation games. The majority of them are complete. There's maybe only one that's missing a disc, which is not a big deal because it's actually a fairly cheap one. And there's one that's missing a manual. But otherwise, all of these are complete. We have Incredible Crisis, Tales of Destiny. And I'll move through these fairly quickly. 40 Winks, just because there's a decent amount of them. Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. Azure Dreams, Konami game. Vandal Hearts, and this was one of the ones that was missing the manual. Comes with everything else though. Suikoden, and the cool thing about this is this was the one I was missing. So with Suikoden being added or picked up in the slot, completes my Suikoden collection, at least for consoles. We have Star Ocean, Dragon Warrior 7, we have Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, Breath of Fire 3, and all of these games are in awesome shape. The cases were a little bit dirty, but the discs themselves are very minty. Okay. Next stack of games, we have Final Fantasy 9, and this was the one that was missing the disc. It's missing the fourth disc, but that's not that big of a deal. Final Fantasy 8. I was gonna say 6, but they didn't have Final Fantasy 6 on here. Final Fantasy 7 Classic, and this one's not the Masterpiece variant on the back with the typo. Final Fantasy Tactics, Xenogears, and Brave Fencer Musashi. Some Squaresoft titles. Next up, we have The Legend of Legaia, The Legend of Dragoon, Black Label. You come across this game, Green Label, greatest hits a lot. Wild Arms, Wild Arms 2, we have Cartia, or Cardia, however you want to pronounce it, Atlas title. Rhapsody, a musical adventure, another Atlas title. This one's a big one here. Another Atlas title, Persona 2. This is probably the most expensive game that was picked up in this lot. Eternal Punishment. We have Beyond the Beyond. And then the last two games, I went through them fairly quickly. The last two games, we have both Lunars here. So we have Lunar Silver Star Story complete in the box. Minty, comes with the map, comes with the little book and the soundtrack, I believe. I don't recall which one comes with what, but we also have Lunar 2, Eternal Blue complete. This one comes with that book, that soundtrack, and and the little necklace that's included in here as well. So crazy PS1 lot, or PS1 or JRPG lot. You could tell that this person really cared about their games, really cared about the condition, really cared about storylines themselves in games. So like I mentioned, sold them by the tub of manuals and magazines, guides, tub of consoles, and tub of games. So we lucked out pretty well when it came to this estate sale. But those were all my pickups for this week. If you did like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I got other pickups, tips and tricks, gameplays, as well as streams. And with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.